Afternoon and welcome back to Wargaming in a Cave. So, what's been happening? Sorry this is a bit late, it should have been done last week, but as I'm sure you all were in the UK, sweltering in the heat, recording a video wasn't top of my agenda. But anyway, I thought I'd do the update and let you know what's been going on. Hopefully you saw or you've had a chance to watch the video from our Battle of Mont Saint-Jean, which took place a couple of weekends ago. It was really good, really interesting game. We played the large scenario from Dave Brown's 100-day campaigns using GDA2. Really enjoyable game. Unfortunately, the French got the upper hand. I didn't quite manage to hold on to La Hassane or be able to retake it before the end of the game. We found setting up the night before was a really good idea though, because we were able to launch straight into the game. And we just about reached a conclusion by the end of it. So it was good, enjoyable, good company as ever. So if you get a chance, have a watch of the video whilst you're painting. So what have I been up to? Well, I've finished painting the battalion of British infantry, which were on the table when I updated at the end of April. So I will show you those shortly. And what else I've been working on. The Waterloo game got pushed back, and that will now take place over a couple of days in October. So there's a chance to paint a few more Napoleonics in readiness for that. But as you'll see in a moment, my painting emphasis has switched slightly before returning to Napoleonics. And one of the reasons is because I've branched out into, or we're going to try, 7 Years' War. And I have been busy reading, which isn't something I do really. I do a lot of reading for work. So reading doesn't come easy for me when it comes to relaxing. But I've managed to make a start on the 7 Years' War history. Something I've never really understood because I haven't opened my mind to reading about it. But I recommend this book. It's really good. Sets out the history, gives a nice overview. I'm enjoying reading it, and it puts it all in context. And you can see how it's often described as the First World War because there were conflicts in India as well as America and of course in Europe. And I will show you my Prussian armies which are being raised shortly as to how they're coming on. I've also invested in this one from Partisan Historical, really good. I should be raising the Prussians and a really good guide, sets it out all nice and clearly, exactly what you need, so you know what you're doing with regard to painting your toys up. And this one I haven't yet started, but again, a good overview of the history of the 7 Years' War. I find that if I'm going to start painting figures, I really need to appreciate the period. Now with Napoleonics and World War II, that's not a problem. A good understanding of both. But 7 Years' War is something I've played a few times before and really enjoyed the rules known as Warfare in the Age of Reason, which we'll probably return to when we've got our armies raised. But I never really studied the history, and without putting it in context, doesn't allow me to paint as many figures, hopefully, or paint more figures, because of interest in the period and an understanding of what strategically was happening, which I always find quite fascinating about campaigns. Anyway, that's enough waffle. Let me show you the finished British battalion, and then I'll show you what's on the workbench. So here is the sum total of finished units, or units rather, for May. 1 unit of British line infantry. They are now all based and varnished and ready for action. They need their standards. Yes, I know I have a constant failing with regard to that, but I'll show you in a moment on the painting table 2 flags that are in the process of being prepared, ready to present to a unit. I'm going to have a bit of a catch up this year, I think, as far as flags are concerned. These front rank figures have been a joy to paint. I've really enjoyed them, and you can see them in their regimental colours and fineries, and they are ready for the table. They weren't quite ready in time for Mont Saint-Jean, but they will certainly be ready for Waterloo. Moving on to Whip, and here we have the gasworks for Arnhem, which I've started a little while ago, but you can see is making reasonably good progress. I'm hoping that should be finished by the end of June. It's from Ravensthorpe, it's 20mm, ready for our rapid fire games for Operation Market Garden. It's a combination of emulsion tester pots and normal hobby paints. But I'm quite pleased with how it's coming out. Painting buildings isn't something I normally do with relish. I don't know why that is, but anyway, they seem to be coming together okay, and that's on the painting table. Well, it's on the gaming table currently, but it is back on the painting table. And remaining with buildings, here is my Huguemont. Now, if you remember from previous updates, I've been making the base for the building to sit on, which you can see is largely, well, it is done. I haven't yet glued, I'm going to glue the gate on. It'll probably be slightly open because I've got the British officer figure pushing the gate back. So I'm going to do a little vignette to go within the grounds of Huguemont. It's obviously a cut down Huguemont, so the footprint is not too large. There's going to be an area here for the gardens, which I'm going to get made up for me by Andy from Last Valley. But there was a problem when I made this, because I was thinking, oh, it's only card, therefore there shouldn't be any height differential between that and the mat. This is quite thin card, but clearly there is. So I'm going to have to extend the base slightly, paint and model up this bit to go underneath the walls, and before it's entirely finished. But you can see it there pretty much in its finished state. Not quite, but you'll get the idea of how it will look on the gaming table when we come to play in October. Right, moving on to figures. These two are in the whip pile. It's another pipe block. Only 32 figures in my pipe block. Sorry, Ken. I know you won't consider that to be anywhere near a pipe block, but 32 figures I think is a reasonable size pipe block for my Seleucid army. These figures are from Aventine. They again have been really nice to paint, and as you can see, they are nearing completion. I would hope that they will be finished sometime in June, all painted and based. There's the British officer figure I mentioned from Salute from a few years ago, who will go on a vignette to go inside the Huguemont gate. So that's the pipe block in the process of being painted. So I have these fine Belgium light company in the process of being painted up. What happened when I painted my allied units to begin with is I put the skirmish bases, the light companies, on pairs, which is fine. They work as skirmishers for the GDA, but of course that means that the unit then only has 28 figures rather than 32 based up in 4s. So I've been slowly going through and adding light companies back into my existing battalions. So these 4 will make the 7th Belgium line back up to full strength. Again, they too should be ready fairly shortly. And finally, in the whip pile, we have the Grey Mass, otherwise known as a battalion of Prussian 7 Years' War musketeers. As you can see, their faces and hands are in the process of being done. They might be done for the end of June, not going to guarantee it. I would hope they'll be somewhere close to being finished, given there's only 24 figures in a unit. And also we have on the whip tray, we have German AFV crews. They've again had their faces and hands done, and some trenches and a few casualty figures. I like to have a few small things on the go in between whole units, so that if I have the right paints open, I can then make some progress with them, and then when they get near completion, give them a push over the line, as it were. So that's what's happening in the cave. Game-wise, in June, we have our D-Day game is going to be played around the middle of the month. Unfortunately, not tomorrow, which is the 6th, but pretty close. But it'll be the 15th, where I should be getting my terrain boards out for Sword Beach. I'll post some pictures of that. I've made them quite some time ago, probably about 10 or 12 years ago, but they're fairly resistant, and hopefully they still look reasonably good, so we get them out on the table. We might also be doing Pegasus Bridge, depending on how many players we have. We really need at least 2 Germans and 2 or 3 allies if we're going to have both tables set up at the same time. So that's set for June. Don't yet have a game for July. I think it will probably be rapid fire again, because we like to play a few games in a row so that we stay familiar with the rules. So that's what's coming up in June. No shows planning on going to at the moment. Maybe go to Warfare at the end of the year. Unfortunately, I can't make Partisan in October. But so Warfare is possibly on the list. But that said, that's pretty much it for Wargaming in a Cave for June. I'm up to 349 subscribers, so let's see if we can get over to 350. So if you're hovering over the button, press the button, we'll get to 350. But that's pretty much it for Wargaming in a Cave. Hope you've enjoyed it, and we'll be back soon.